wonders why Jinwoo is still a hunter, saying she's worried about him because he always gets injured. They collect the loot, but they appear to be disappointed, thinking it's not enough. But a hunter calls everyone, showing them a tunnel, as they realize that it's a double dungeon. They know that they will find more loot inside, but Songchi reveals that they can't explore it because they need to wait for orders from the Hunters Association. But Kim suggests breaking the rules so that they can collect the loot. Songchi thinks it's too risky, saying they should take a vote, but half of them oppose the idea, including Jui. Jinwoo is the only one that hasn't voted, and he's going to break the tie, so he realizes that his decision is going to affect the outcome. He considers that he could end up dying, but he thinks about his current situation, knowing his father is missing, and his mother is in the hospital. His sister can't help him, because she's still a student, so it's up to him to provide for her, knowing he needs the money to make ends meet, so he decides to enter the tunnel. Meanwhile, the officials are testing the powers of the new hunters to determine their rankings. We meet the guildmaster of the Hunters Guild Choi, as he orders the officials to send offers to promising newbies, because they need more hunters in the guild. We see thieves stealing a bag, and they're about to escape, but a girl gets in the way, retrieving the bag, and causing them to crash. She returns it to the owner, and everyone recognizes her as the S-rank hunter Heian, but she doesn't like getting the public's attention, so she escapes from the scene. Back in the dungeon, the hunters explore the tunnel, as Jui questions Jinwoo's decision, reminding him that he almost died. He knows that she saved his life, and she tells him to show his gratitude by having dinner with her, causing him to become flustered. At that moment, they see a door, thinking the boss must be inside. But as they enter it, they realize that it's filled with statues, and Jinwoo sees one of them, realizing that it's bigger than the others, as everyone wonders why there are no monsters. They see an ancient tablet, which mentions the commandments of the temple, and Songchi reads it, revealing that it's telling them to worship and praise God, and prove their faith to him, or they won't be able to leave the room alive. But Jui notes that the huge statue appears to be watching them, and the door suddenly closes, causing everyone to panic. A hunter tries to leave, saying they shouldn't have entered the tunnel, but a statue attacks him, killing him in an instant, and everyone falls into despair, wondering how they're supposed to escape. Jinwoo thinks that the statues are too strong to be in a D-rank dungeon, and he looks at the huge statue, realizing that it's watching them. He recalls how he always has a brush with death during his raids, because he can't keep up with the other hunters. But he never gave up, and he learned to compensate for his weakness by observing everything in detail. He can tell that they're in trouble, so he tells everyone to take cover, as the statue fires an energy beam, destroying everything in its path. Everyone realizes that their lives are in danger, and Songchi tells everyone not to move, because it could trigger another attack. He approaches Jinwoo, wondering how he was able to sense the danger. He explains that it was just a gut feeling, but he realizes that Songchi lost his arm, and he tells Jinwoo to help him stop the bleeding. So Jinwoo covers him with bandages, as he mentions that he was planning to ask for Jui's help, but she always freaks out when she experiences pressure, and this explains why she only joins easy raids, despite being a B-rank healer. Songchi explains that he's been to B-rank dungeons, but he's never seen a monster as powerful as the statue, thinking it belongs to an S-rank dungeon. He recalls the commandments written on the tablet, and Jinwoo thinks that the huge statue is God. Songchi knows that they're no match for it, so they need to find a way to escape. But a hunter mentions that he doesn't want to die, and he charges forward with ridiculous speed, but the statue attacks him, destroying him in an instant. Jinwoo realizes that it can kill them if it wanted to, wondering why it isn't attacking them. He recalls the writing on the tablet, asking Songchi about it, so he mentions that the first commandment is to worship God. Jinwoo thinks that the dungeon has its own rules, and he stands up, as Songchi tries to stop him, thinking he could get himself killed. But Songchi realizes that he's determined to survive, and the statue of God prepares to attack him, but he bows his head, as he notes that it's spared his life. So he tells everyone to prostrate themselves, saying it won't attack them if they keep their heads low. They follow his instructions, and the statue's eyes deactivate, but it suddenly starts smiling, so everyone becomes worried. But Park notes that it isn't doing anything, and everyone thinks they're safe. But it suddenly starts moving, walking towards them, as they start to panic. Jinwoo reminds them that the second commandment is to praise God, and a man approaches the statue, claiming he knows what to do. He starts reciting a prayer, but it smiles at him as Jinwoo realizes that his plan isn't working. He gets crushed to death, and everyone starts running away as it chases after them. Park thinks about his family, knowing they're waiting for him to return, but he approaches a statue, and it starts moving, slicing him in half. Jinwoo thinks about the second commandment, realizing that the statues with weapons are killing his companions, and he sees statues with instruments, thinking they need to be activated, so he tells everyone to approach them. They follow his instructions, and the statues start playing the instruments, causing them to feel relieved, because their lives have been spared. Jinwoo approaches a statue with Jui, but it doesn't activate, and he realizes that it won't work if there are two people close to it. So he tells Jui to stay there, and he runs to activate the last one, but the statue of God starts pursuing him. It's about to crush him to death, and he manages to avoid it, but he gets blown away, activating another statue by accident. It attacks him, smashing the ground, and Jui thinks he's dead, but we see him crawling to the last one, refusing to give up, as the statue of God continues to pursue him. It stomps on him, but the last statue starts singing, and we see that he was able to activate it. So the statue of God spares him, returning to its throne, as he realizes that they have completed the second commandment. Jui approaches him, but she realizes that he lost his leg, so she tries to heal him, but she ends up reaching her limit. Everyone realizes that their companions are dead, and Kim blames Song-chi for everything, because he's the leader of the group. Their companions think Kim is being unfair, because he suggested breaking the rules, and they start blaming each other. But Song-chi takes responsibility, because he was the one who made the final call. An altar suddenly appears, as Jinwoo explains that the third commandment is to prove their faith to God, thinking they need to perform a human sacrifice to survive. Kim tells Song-chi to offer his life, because he's the leader of the group, and he agrees to this, so he approaches the altar. But a fire suddenly appears, so everyone becomes confused, and Jinwoo tells them to help him reach the altar, because he wants to examine it. As they approach it, more flames appear, and Jinwoo wonders if anyone will arrive to rescue them. But Song-chi explains that the gate is about to fully open, so nobody will be able to save them. We learn that a gate remains inactive for 7 days after it appears, but after that period, monsters will be able to enter the world, in what's known as a dungeon break. So hunters are sent into the gate to prevent it from happening, by defeating the dungeon boss, and Jinwoo realizes that if they fail, the statue of God will be able to enter their world, so they need to clear the dungeon at all costs. He advises everyone to approach the altar, and more flames appear, as the altar activates, causing a ring of blue flames to surround it. The door opens, as everyone wonders if they can leave, but the statues start moving, as a blue flame disappears. Everyone panics, but Jinwoo notes that the statues stop when he looks at them, and he tells everyone to keep their eyes open, so that the statues won't be able to move. It appears to be working, but one of them panics, and she starts running away, causing a red flame to disappear. She manages to leave the room, and everyone wonders what's happening, because the commandment is to prove their faith. Jinwoo thinks it's a trap, but another one runs away, so he warns the others that they will have blind spots if more people leave. He thinks the blue flames serve as the timer, and the goal is to survive until they disappear, but Kim knows he isn't sure, because he has no evidence to support his theory. Kim thanks him for helping them survive, but he mentions that he has a family waiting for him, and he decides to run away. Jinwoo realizes that they can't stop all of the statues, and Song-chi tells Jui to escape with Jinwoo, but her legs stop moving, because she has already spent all of her energy. So Jinwoo tells Song-chi to escape with her, saying he won't be able to run away, because he only has one leg, and he gives her an essence stone, telling her to use it to buy dinner. She doesn't want to leave him, but Song-chi knocks her out, and carries her away.
What if your kids could walk through the garden with Adam and Eve, or journey to Bethlehem the night?
Her away. Jinwoo is the only one left, knowing he doesn't stand a chance, but he takes a sword, planning to fight until his last breath. But the statues attack him, blowing him away, and he ends up losing an arm. He endures a brutal beatdown, and he lands on the altar, as a statue prepares to strike him down. He notes that he doesn't want to die, so he starts crying, but the timer expires, as he receives a system message, asking him if he wants to become a player. He wakes up in a hospital, realizing that his body has been completely healed. He wonders if it was just a dream, but the manager of the Hunters Association surveillance team, Jinchul, enters his room. Jinchul explains that he was unconscious for the past 3 days, and he wonders what happened to Jui and Songji. Jinchul reveals that they survived, but Songji lost his arm, so he might be forced to retire as a hunter, and Jui is suffering from trauma, so she needs psychiatric care before she can join another raid. He reveals that the White Tiger Guild rushed to the dungeon because they were alerted by the survivors, but they never saw the statues, and Jinwoo was found lying on the ground. Everyone finds this strange, but they believe that the survivors are telling the truth because the remains of the other hunters were found on the scene. Jinchul thinks that an E-rank hunter could never survive the incident, so he believes that Jinwoo unlocked a new level of power through a second awakening. He pulls out a gadget, explaining that it will measure Jinwoo's magic, and he becomes excited, thinking he has become stronger. But as he touches it, we see that his score is 10, which is considered abysmal, because even the weakest hunters get a score of 70. So Jinchul explains that they were mistaken, and they leave the room, thinking he's as weak as a civilian. Jinwoo is disappointed with the result, but he wonders why they didn't inquire about the screen, because he can see it floating in his room. He wonders if he's the only one who can see it, and at that moment, his sister Gina arrives, revealing that she was worried about him. She tells him that she will quit school and get a job so that he can stop being a hunter, because he always ends up in the hospital. He apologizes for making her worried, and he inquires about the screen, but she becomes confused because she can't see it. He asks her how she checks her messages in video games, and she tells him that he just needs to open the message box. So he mentions the message box, and the system recognizes his command, informing him that he has a daily quest. He thinks about how he has become a player, and Gina decides.
When this boy is born, his parents name him NASA, just like the American company.